For those of us who are not proficient keyboard players, recording MIDI parts using a keyboard controller is often time-consuming and doesn't always yield the results that we would like. Let's take a look at a couple of alternative ways to enter MIDI notes. So Live offers two ways to record MIDI in non-real time, meaning that we can enter the notes out of time, taking as much time as we need to enter each note, but when Live plays it back, it will play it back in time. So one of these methods is called step record. Now, I've got sounds loaded on these first two tracks, so I'm going to get started by adding an empty clip on this first clip slot on the drums. So I'll choose that clip slot and right-click and choose Insert MIDI Clip. I'm going to put the track in record, and then when I come down into the MIDI Editor area, I want to check and make sure that the Preview button is enabled. Now that's going to do two things. It will allow us to hear notes as I play them. Let's check that out. But it also enables step record. So I'll click into the MIDI Editor, and then I can use my arrow keys to move my cursor around and place the notes where I want to place them. Now the length of the notes is going to be determined by the grid, and I can change that by right-clicking in this area and choosing the note value. Now usually what you'll do is set this to the smallest note value that you might enter as part of the part that you're going to create. And I'm going to stay with 16th notes. So the process now is just to hold a key down on your MIDI keyboard that represents the note that you want to add, and then press the right arrow key on your computer keyboard to enter the note. So I'm going to hold down a C to trigger the kick, and then press my right arrow to enter that note. And then I'll arrow over to beat 2 so I can add a snare. I'll press down D, and press the right arrow to enter that one. If you get over here and you make a mistake, for example, I'm going to add this kick in just a little bit early. So I'll press the key down and then press my right arrow to enter the note. But if I'm still holding the note down, I can press my left arrow to delete it. And it's gone. And now I can arrow over, and I can hold down my C there, press my right arrow, so that's good, and go over. This time I'll put the snare in the wrong place. So hold down D, press my right arrow, it's entered. I realized that it was the wrong place, so I'll just click it with my mouse and press my delete key to get rid of it. And now I can arrow over and hold down D and put the snare in the right place. So the next thing I want to do is I want to add in a hi-hat part. So I'm going to arrow back over to where I want to start to do that. And I just want to add hi-hats on every other 16th. So I'll hold down my note A, arrow, arrow again, A. It's a little bit time consuming, but I'm not making any mistakes as I do it. So I've got a basic drum part entered there. And now what I want to do is enter some chords into the pad part. So again, I'll click the first clip slot here, and I'm going to add an empty clip by using the key command this time, which is Command-Shift-M on a Mac or Control-Shift-M on a PC. I'm going to activate the Preview button so that I can hear what I play. And I'm also going to activate the Record button. And I'll hold down my chord. Okay, I've got signal. And I want to add this chord in here, but I don't want it to be the same value as the default grid value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the notes down, and then I'm going to continue to hold them down as I press the right arrow button successively. And that will allow me to add a 16th note length each time I press that to the chord. I'll click in the MIDI Editor, and I'll move the cursor over to where I need to be. Now I'll hold the chord down and press the right arrow. And that time I was able to add in a half note length on that chord. So another way that we can do this is we can do this by using the pencil method. Again, I'm going to go up on the drum track, and I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to add an empty clip. I'm going to activate pencil mode by clicking on the pencil button up here in the control bar. And now I can add in notes of the default length by just simply clicking where I want to add them. So quickly I can add kick, snare, kick, and snare. And I want to add some successive hi-hats on all the 16th notes. So I'm just going to click and drag all the way across here. Now as I'm doing that, I'm adding notes at the velocity of, it looks like 80. And if you want to add in something at a higher velocity, we can use those same keys that we used in our discussion on using the keyboard to add MIDI notes. And those would be C and V. So C is going to decrease the velocity 20, and V is going to increase at 20. And it looks like I started at 60, so those notes might be a little bit soft. So I'm actually going to undo that last little pass there, and I'm going to add those in a little bit louder. So let me press the V key again. So now I'm at 80, press it one more time. Now I'm at 100, so I can click and add those notes in. And notice that the velocity information actually displays in the saturation of the color of the MIDI notes. A lot of times the hi-hats are kind of quiet, so I find it useful to put them in a little bit louder. So as you can see, step input and draw mode are a great help to those of us whose keyboard skills need work. These methods can be tricky, so practice a bit with at least one of these methods and you'll find that you can enter notes very quickly.